What's up, guys? You're watching Poots Garage. This week we got some more parts to put on the K30 Trail Rig. Yo, you know what time it is? Time for the map. So I got 16 locations this week. If you're new here, all you gotta do is comment where you're watching from and I'll put a pin on the map. So let's get to it. Let's start this week off with Central New Hampshire, so right in the middle. Then we go to Albemarle, North Carolina, Prospect, Connecticut, Polson, Montana, Poland, New York, Casa Grande, Arizona, Fairbanks, Alaska, finally got Alaska, Clearwater, Florida, Shanto, Arizona, Paris, Texas, New Virginia, Iowa, Spencer County, Kentucky, Tucson, Arizona, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Nampa, Idaho, Port of Long Beach, California, and last is Albuquerque, New Mexico. You guys knocked out quite a few new states this week, so that's pretty cool to see. Let's keep filling it up. Just let me know where you're watching from. So this week we got a lot of smaller things to do again. We got to get through this stuff before I can get this thing on its wheels and on the road. I still need to order wheels and tires, but I had an unexpected expense come up, so that might put me back a little bit, but we are pushing forward still. I want to thank everybody for all the emails and all the support, all the comments. You guys are killing it right now, so I'm loving it. I love seeing all this stuff. Make me feel like I'm famous or something. But thank you for everything, and we are pushing to make this thing big. And that being said, with all the comments and the emails you guys are sending me, I want to make this into more of like a community thing. I'm not just out here trying to make, viral videos and stuff like that. I'm trying to actually build a community of people that maybe get together and hang out, or different things like that. I don't want to just look for that fame or whatever, the YouTube fame, but I want to build like a community of people. So trying to build friends and different things like that. So that's why I'm all about the comments. I'm about emails. You guys want to send me stuff, I'm trying to reply back to everything, and I love hearing from everybody. I also still have a lot of stickers to give out. I'm giving these out for free. All you got to do is send me your address to pootsgarage@gmail.com. It's real easy. Just send me your address, send me a note if you want, whatever, and then I'll send them out as soon as I can. And if you guys can do me a favor, once you get your stickers and you put them on something, I don't care if it's your car, your house, your toolbox, your water bottle, I don't care. Send me a picture back and I'll actually put that picture in a future video. And I've also been getting a lot of pictures of people's just off-road rigs and stuff. If you want to share something, let me see it, and I can throw that in videos. So later on in this video, you'll actually see I'm going to put up some pictures of people's rigs and sticker pictures, stuff like that. So I just wanted to throw this out there that, I'm trying to get this truck going, and these wheel and tire, I was real close to actually going to buy a set of wheels for this thing. It's extremely expensive, most expensive set of wheels and tires that I've ever bought in my life. So it's you gotta get mentally prepared for that. But I had an unexpected expense pop up on the Ram, and it just kind of took my motivation away. Well, kind of took my wheel money away, to be honest. And so it's gonna be really expensive to do this, but you got to get it done, and it's something you got to do, eventually, it seems like. Otherwise you just keep dumping money into these trucks. But just so you guys know that we're still moving forward with wheels and tires. It's not that I'm being lazy and I haven't run out of money yet. We're getting there, but we're moving forward with this truck. The wheels and tires are going to be one of the most, I think, the coolest things to go on this. It's kind of a dream thing to do on this, to get those big 40-inch tires and aluminum beadlock wheels on this thing. So he's gonna be nasty. It's the first thing in the morning for me, so we need to go get some parts. So I got these the old Dana 60 brake calipers in the box here, ready to go out. I gotta head to the store to go pick up some new brake parts, and these are just the core, so I gotta turn those back in. That's why we're doing that.
My appetite, don't leave me here high and dry. We got the goods. Let's get home.
And we're back. Went to Napa Auto Parts, got my stuff. So what we ended up getting is a couple set of calipers, which I'll show you the old ones. I'll give you a nice close-up look of this in a little bit. And then we got some nice fresh brake pads. And one of the things I really need to do forever is a new master cylinder. So it'll be nice to get a nice fresh unit under there. And I also have a couple more things coming in the mail. I actually ordered them off Amazon just because it was the easiest way to get them. So I've got a Jeep Cherokee XJ steering shaft. We're gonna do that upgrade on this truck to get rid of the rag joint. And then I got a lower column bearing for the truck because the one that's on there is trashed, and I'll also show you a little bit of that here in a minute. I don't have those parts quite yet, so if they do show up on time this weekend and I can get them in and I can squeeze them into this video, then that'll be great. But let's give you a close-up of what we got so far. So not the most exciting stuff to do, but this is what we got. So these are the new calipers. These are some big old units. We got huge pistons on them, but that's the Dana 61-ton stuff there. And then, you know, a couple new brake pads. These are just the semi-metallic. And then this is kind of the thing one of the most exciting things I'm putting on, probably not for you guys, but it's a new master cylinder. So the one that's on the truck now is extremely rusty, so it'll be nice just to swap that out just for peace of mind, because I just also hate the way it looks under there. Something else I wanted to show you just for comparison. So this is the Dana 60 caliper. This is my Dana 44 caliper. This was the big hub 44, so it's probably like a 3/4 ton axle, but you can notice just the size of the, it's kind of hard to tell there, but this piston is quite a bit bigger than that one, so it has a lot more braking power. And one of the reasons I really never drove this truck much in its former state was because of the brakes. It had that Dana 44 up front, and the brakes worked, they felt fine, but when you get out on the road, and especially in a slippery situation, like a little bit of moisture on the road or whatever, if I had applied the brakes any moderate amount, the rear brakes would lock up like real easy. Now I know the rear brakes weren't in very good shape to begin with, but having the fronts not, basically it's like the fronts weren't doing much, and that's kind of because of these little tiny brake calipers that are on here. So probably the proportioning valve or whatever is in the 1 ton is obviously valved for the big brakes. So hopefully we get this thing all back together and my rear locking up brake issue won't happen anymore, but it's also not really a problem because the rear is now disc brakes anyway. So we've pretty much replaced almost everything in this whole system. The only thing that'll be old is that old proportioning valve. So as long as that's not acting up, then we'll be fine. But the rear disc brake conversion from lug nut 4x4, it's specifically supposed to work with the stock master cylinder. It's supposed to work with the stock proportioning valve, so you don't need to change all that stuff out. It's not gonna act goofy. So if everything's working right, we should be good. And this is what I've been talking about with the master cylinder. The one that's in here is just super rusty. It's like the rust is just flaking off of it. You can see I've blasted it with some paint before, but it's almost like the brake fluid is seeping through the metal and just getting it super rusty, so it's just absorbing all the water. And of course the cap looks like crap and all that stuff, so it's gonna be really nice to get that swapped out, get a nice clean one on there now, and not have to stare at that ugly thing forever. Of course I'm sitting here talking about ugly things, and the whole motor just absolutely looks like garbage right now. It got so dirty and so corroded from sitting around in that Washington moisture, and now we're down here in Nevada where the sand and dust is just all over it. So yeah, you can see this thing is nasty, so I can't wait to get this thing out of the garage into the driveway, and I can start really cleaning things up, polish those valve covers again, you know, try to get some of that rust staining off the intake and different things, and you know, get this thing looking good again. Maybe get some fresh paint on the firewall, you know, we'll get her looking ripe again. Let's get into this. So we got the front calipers ready to go on. I'm not going to bore you with every little detail, but I do want to point out that when you have a brake pad like this that actually kind of clamps into the caliper itself, what I always do is I always bend down the little tabs until it actually fits in there snug, so it doesn't rattle around in there. Might prevent some brake noise later on down the road. So these are nice, they slip right on, they're perfect now. And then these do have a metal clip, which actually is going to go on to, which way is it? It goes on to one of the ends of the brake pad, but you want to make it so that it's kind of like spring loaded, so it's kind of always, your pad might shift a little bit, but you would want it so that the pad is always forward, like the spring is always pushing in a forward position. So when your vehicle is rolling down the road, this pad is going to want to go this way. So you want the spring to always be giving it a little tension in the forward position. If it's in the other way, it's always pushing back down. Every time you hit the brakes, it's gonna grab the rotor and it's gonna go clunk. So always keep it up in the forward position. These calipers are also really different in the way they mount. I'm not really used to this system either, but they kind of use a little slide-in deal with a spring retainer. This is all new stuff, and then this one single bolt kind of holds it in on the backside. So it's kind of new to me. I'm kind of familiar with this, but it's been a long time since I touched this style. Online real quick and look at how these went together because it's been so long since I took it apart. So I noticed there's not a whole lot of information out there on these stock ones, but just notice this spring is gonna go on like that. It's kind of wedged in there, and then all we're gonna do is beat this thing all the way back in till this little half moon here lines up with our bolt hole, and then we can put our new bolt in there to hold it in place. Let me show you how that goes. There we go. You can see where the spring goes up above it, and it's keeping pressure on keeping the caliper pushed up. So that's just how that goes. I'm sure somebody might be coming through here looking for how to put these brakes back together. So that's how you do it. Back to the music. Alright, that's that. Pretty easy, right? Now we just gotta do the other side. These things came pre-painted black, so that's kind of nice. I don't have to worry about getting them painted up or anything. So yeah, let's get to the other side real quick. Hey guys, here's another Poots tip. If you're ever using these adjustable wrenches and you just can't get the size right, what you need, what you can do is you can grab a regular wrench that the right size, and then you can size it to what you need. You can kind of hold them up there and you can get them like right on there, you know, and then now you got the right size. So if you like these Poots tips, you know, if it's helping you get these things done, then go ahead and hit the subscribe button and like my videos. You know, we need all the help we can get. I think this is a good time to take a little break and let's check out all the pictures people are sending me. These are pictures of my stickers that I'm sending out, and then people that are just sending me pictures of their just trucks or cars in general and whatnot. So check these out. So we got those brake calipers on, and that went all right. So I'm gonna move on to something under the hood. I'm not gonna put those brake lines on yet. I can, but I'm just gonna wait a little bit, kind of mix things up a little bit. So I got the steering shaft that we're replacing, and then when I took the old one off, I noticed the end of the steering column was extremely wore out. So I've already worked on it a little bit. I did some work last night on it without the cameras and whatnot, just some, you know, dirty, small, rough work. But let me show you what we got going on right now. I still got a little bit left to do. So this is what I got out so far of the column bearing. So this is just kind of a plastic retainer that slides in the end of the tube, right? And that kind of holds the bearing onto the shaft. This is technically, I believe, the outer bearing race. And this end goes over the outside of the tube to keep everything in there. And then I'm not sure what this piece is. I think it's part of the bearing also. So you can see that we had a rough time getting this out. It's all mangled. So I got you under the hood now, and this is the steering shaft here. You can see I've got all the outer pieces out. There's still the inner race stuck to the shaft itself. This is the steering shaft that goes all the way up to your steering wheel. So that's actually stuck on there. I sprayed it last night with a bunch of oil, WD-40. So I'm gonna see if I can get that thing off now. Hopefully it comes off. I might have to put some heat in there. The problem is when I was putting heat on it yesterday, it was like catching fire, and fire was going up the tube. I'm like, I can't get that out if it goes up in flames. So we're gonna keep working on that, see if I can get that little piece off, and then it'll be ready once I get the new part to just slide the new one in. To get the old stuff out already, I actually hit it with a bunch of heat like I said, to kind of melt that plastic piece to get it out and beat it up and got all the pieces off of there. But that old bearing had absolutely no bearings left in it. It had no, no balls left in there or whatever. So it was just a floppy mess. So it'll be awesome to get this fresh bearing in there. That should help tighten up the steering and make it a little quieter. I also noticed it used to be really noisy too when I turned the steering wheel, and the upper bearing, I wouldn't be surprised, is also trash. But for now, we're just gonna get this lower one in, and then that way, once I get my new bearing, we can put that in. And the new steering shaft is the XJ shaft that we'll have to do one little modification, I believe. I think I have to grind a notch in something. I think it's this end for the bolt to go through, but it's no big deal. And then yeah, it'll be kind of cool to get that in there, get rid of that rag joint, which is down on the steering box end, and puts a nice, the Jeep Cherokee shaft has U-joints on both ends, so just instead of that dirty old rubber rag joint down there, so it'll be cool. And there it is. That's the inner piece. Needed that to get out, and we got it. That thing's pretty chooched, so yeah, we got it. Ended up just grinding off, and it kind of breaks free. Just barely touched the shaft. That's all right. No big deal. We'll get that all cleaned up for the new bearing. That's as far as we're taking it. So yeah, just cleaned up as much loose stuff as I can, blasted it out with some brake clean. It's still drying off there. But yeah, if that thing needed a full fresh coat of paint, would be pulling the whole column out and redoing it, and I'm not doing that. Maybe I'll blast it later, but for now, that's good enough. Next, so the next thing we want to tackle is I want to do this master cylinder. So first off, swing, I got to get this thing bench bled. This is gonna be, I've done this a lot before in the past, but this technique is gonna be a little different for me. So first off, I gotta figure out how I'm gonna mount this thing in the vise because it's so huge. And my vise is not very big. It might work. Flip it around. Yeah, that should work. The technique I'm gonna do, I haven't really done before. So I've done it where I actually had hoses, little tubes that I would connect and dump back in there. And so it was a continuous cycle of fluid and you wouldn't get any air in there. I don't have those tubes anymore. I dug through everything I owned. I can't find them. Probably threw them out in the last move. So the next technique is the one that's the unpreferred method, which is basically what we're gonna do is these plugs that come with it, little plastic plugs, we're gonna put these in the ports and block it up tight, and then you just cycle the piston a bunch of times with it plugged up. So I guess it'll kind of move the fluid in and out of its piston, and the air should come out the top instead. We'll give it a shot, we'll see what happens. You know what, I changed my mind. Looking at this thing, it's completely bare metal. Maybe it has some sort of coating on here, but I don't trust it to get rusty again. So I'm gonna actually paint this thing real quick. paint to dry on this master cylinder here. I got the heater on it and whatnot. It's feeling good. It's drying quick between coats, so that's good. Let's go take the old one off. So this is the old one. Obviously this thing is nasty. We looked at this earlier, but I've already got, since I pulled the axles off, the brakes have already been drained out, so they're pretty dry in there. That's good. I don't have to worry about draining it. So all we have to do is break these two lines loose, remove the two bolts or the nuts on the front there. On this is a hydro boost. This is not a this is not vacuum assist. This is a hydraulic assist brakes, but it should come out pretty quick. Hopefully I don't jinx myself. I have repaired these lines in the past, actually. I don't know if nobody probably remembers, but a long time ago when I very first bought this truck, it pretty much had no brakes, and the lines were rusted out right at the base here, just like this is all rusty. The rust had transferred over to the lines, so I actually cut these lines, you know, a couple inches off, re-flared them, and then stuck them back on, so they've been good since then. But anyways, let's take this off. Kind of dramatic, but we got the whole unit off. So what's left in there? Looks like we had a little leakage in there. Everything looks decent. These lines gave me a little trouble. They're sticking onto the lines themselves. I spilled some fluid down there, but there's no paint anyways, so we don't care. Made a mess all over my ground. We cleaned that up. Here's the old master cylinder. So you can see how crusty this thing is. It is just nasty. Kind of haven't even looked at it yet myself. So you can see how disgusting this thing is. Inside was pretty good. Didn't have any moisture inside, which is cool. I want to look at this end here though. Look at it real close. So you see how wet that is in there? I didn't spill any fluid back there, so this thing was definitely leaking out the back there. So that's possible cause of what was seeping all over it and causing it to rust like crazy like that. So, but anyways, that thing is junk. It's old news, it's history. So we'll throw that in the garbage and move on. And good morning. It's the next day. Well, it's actually afternoon, almost evening now because I sleep so late. But anyways, we got a part. I woke up to a little surprise on the front porch. So let me show you what we got real quick. So these are the parts that we ordered for the lower steering column bearing. So this one is in one piece. That's a bonus. And we got a new retainer, we got the new plastic piece that keeps it all up in there, and then a new metal clip, which holds everything together. And we also got the master cylinder here done. It's all painted up and ready to go. I was about to get ready to start putting it in, but I kind of realized that if I don't have the rest of the brakes together on this truck, I don't want to bench bleed this thing yet, because then when I install it, hook up the lines, it's all just going to drain back out through the open lines anyways. So I think we're actually going to wait to install this. I need to get these brakes buttoned up on this, so I guess that's motivation to finish these brakes. The front will be easy. I think I'm going to do that tonight. I'm going to try and put the front lines on. Those are easy. You should just bolt on both ends. Nothing's damaged, if I remember right. The rear, I have to do a little bit more work because, for one, this rear axle doesn't even have a brake line on it, so I'm going to have to see if my one on the other axle that I pulled out of this truck is usable, because it's going to have a little T block for the single line to run in and then send it to both wheels. So I gotta see if all that stuff is usable. And then I also have to modify the line, the factory line, to accept the braided line for these new calipers. So I'm gonna have to see if I can make all that work. But for now, let's just work on getting this stuff on the truck. Okay, we're all done with that. You can see how it's all retained in there, looking good. Nice and rusty above the old stuff there, so it matches the patina of the rest of the truck. I'm glad to have that on. You can see we have very minimal play now. That bearing on the end just kind of floats in there, so it's got just a little bit of wiggle room, but that is pretty nice. It's a little awkward to get in there and do that stuff, but it's worth it. I should have done this with the old bearing just to show you how bad it was, but now It's pretty smooth. I hear a little bit of noise from the upper column bearing, but there's no play in it, doesn't flop around. And I remember when I drove this thing years ago, for a while, if you were steering, it would actually catch on something and I would have to force it through and it would like crack and then release. It did that a few times on me and I got pretty scared. I was like, dude, if this steering completely locks up on me, I'm screwed. But I'm sure that's probably what it was, because that steering shaft was flopping around in there and it just was catching on stuff and whatever. So I like it. Feels pretty good now. Next thing we want to put on is these brake lines. These are the front stainless steel brake lines that come with the Off-Road Designs kit. So these are pretty nice little units. They are stainless steel. They got a nice like tinted rubber coating over them and stuff. So pretty nice looking units. And of course they come with all the supporting hardware that I need to mount them up and whatnot. So let's get those on real quick. So I was about to get things set up and I noticed the bolts that came with the calipers, they're actually quite a bit longer. You gotta line them up like that, but they're a little bit longer, so they're gonna give me a little more thread engagement, and I kinda like that with how tight you sometimes have to tighten these things. So we're gonna use the bolts that came with the calipers. They're actually a little bit better bolt, I think. These kinda seem kinda cheap, but they would work just fine, but these kinda are pretty legit looking bolts. So we're gonna go with these ones. Yes, we got that done. So check it out. We got front brake lines now, permanently attached. We got the new calipers, so the front brakes are officially done. I'm pretty excited about that, to be honest. So this is cool. We got plenty of movement. We got plenty of extra slack here still. So when this axle drops even further, it's hanging right now, but when it flexes out, it'll need to go down just a little bit more, so we should have plenty of room in there. And then once the weight's on it, we just gotta make sure it's not gonna, you know, catch the tires or whatever, but this is awesome. So far on this video, what have I done? Jesus. So far on this video, we have removed the master cylinder. I've painted the new one. It looks good. I can't put it on quite yet. We put a new lower steering column bearing on, and that's awesome. It's a big improvement. We did the front calipers and brake lines, which was I didn't plan on doing, so that's awesome. But I was sharing pictures with a friend, and somebody had pointed out something. So thanks a lot, O'Connor. You're making more work for me. So he pointed out that the front rotors they look like crap, right? The whole axle looks awesome, everything's painted and fresh, but the rotors, they're rusty. And first I was thinking, nah, they're gonna be covered by the wheels and you're not gonna notice them. And you know, when you get used, they'll get whatever, you won't really see anything anyways. But he's right, they look like crap. So I love the constructive criticism, and so hey, if any of you guys notice anything that you think I should do or tackle, hopefully it's easy, let me know, and I'll, you know, my eyes might not see that. So he's right, we're gonna take care of these rotors and we're gonna make them look a lot better. And we are done. That looks much better. It's actually really clean looking now. I should have done that to begin with. You can see I kind of missed on the taping on the rotor there, but we can clean that up real quick. I won't bore you with another rotor cleaning video. But yeah, that looks much better. Alright guys, so that's it for this week. After I just talked about how much we don't get rain, it's actually raining tonight, which is very strange, and I still got my electrical plugged in, so I need to get that off there. But yeah, I will see you guys next weekend.